Sean Diddy Combs rejected a plea offer during a final pretrial hearing in his sex trafficking and racketeering case. So jury selection will move forward next week. Alice Gaynor was in the courtroom and also learned that Combs is beefing up his defense team.
His sex trafficking trial set to begin next week, and today the former mogul, Sean Diddy Combs, rejecting a final offer for a plea deal.
Combs turned down the government's offer today to plead guilty in exchange for a lighter sentence. Now, if convicted on all counts, Combs could spend the rest of his life in prison.
Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles will be closely covering this trial for us, and she's here now with a look at what we can expect.
Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Kotursky.
Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted. The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to sexually exploit both women and men for decades.
Darla.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to sex trafficking and forced prostitution, and today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul who built an empire from the ground up, is now facing a battle that could shatter everything he's worked for. In just a few days, Diddy will stand in a federal courtroom, ready to defend himself against some of the most serious charges of his career. But here's the catch. He's rejected a plea deal, one that could have spared him years in prison. The world is watching as he walks into the courtroom. What's his game plan? And what's at stake? Let's break it down.
The jury that's ultimately selected will see this March 2016 surveillance video of Combs dragging and kicking his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Defense attorneys also unsuccessful last week in trying to exclude this damning piece of evidence. Ventura herself is expected to testify, as well as 3 other accusers, but they will be allowed to do so anonymously. A high-profile trial that's expected to last 8 to 10 weeks. Now, jury selection will start on Monday and is expected to last 1 week. I will be closely following this case. I will be in court, and we'll bring you updates here on the air and at abc7ny.com, where we will have continuously updated information from the courtroom.
This isn't just any trial. The stakes couldn't be higher. Will Diddy walk free, or will his empire come crashing down? This is the story of the man, the music mogul, and the legal battle of his life.
Sean Diddy Combs entered the courtroom waving to various people. He carried a notebook, put on glasses to read at times, and wore tan prison clothing. During trial, though, the 55-year-old will be allowed to change into something else. A recent court order allows him button-down shirts, pants, sweaters, socks, and shoes without laces for the courtroom. In court Thursday, the judge asked Combs if he rejects the prosecution's offer of a plea deal, to which he replied, "Yes, I do." Details of that offer were not given. Prospective jurors have already filled out questionnaires.
On May 1st, 2025, in a federal courtroom, Diddy made his choice. With just days remaining before his trial, he rejected the plea deal that could have kept him out of prison. But this wasn't a simple plea offer. This was the government's chance to make Diddy admit to crimes he says he didn't commit. And when asked by the judge, "Did you reject the plea deal?" Diddy's response was clear. "Yes, I did."
Beginning Monday, they'll be questioned individually and asked whether they've read or watched news reports about the case since filling those out. Combs currently has 6 defense attorneys, and today they said they'll be adding 2 more. Of one alleged victim's personal attorney, the defense told the judge they were concerned with her behavior here, saying that attorney had given an interview to a TV network trying to bolster her client's credibility. The judge reminded all counsel and witnesses to adhere to rules of professional conduct. Prospective jurors were asked to get here early on Monday. The judge is hoping to complete jury selection over the course of a few days so that attorneys have the rest of the week for trial prep. Opening statements are scheduled for May 12th. Outside the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan, Alice Gaynor, CBS News, New York.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to 5 counts, including transportation to engage in prostitution and also sex trafficking. Alice Gaynor covers courts for us, and she will be there when the trial begins for those opening statements.
The deal offered him a potentially lighter sentence in exchange for pleading guilty to charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and conspiracy. But Diddy refused, understanding the risks that came with it. So, what was on the table for Diddy? Sources close to the case have revealed some shocking details. The plea deal would have required Diddy to admit to serious crimes he's consistently denied, from coercing women into drug-fueled sexual activities to using his power and wealth to manipulate and exploit vulnerable people. The charges are severe.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution charges that accused him of coercing alleged victims into prolonged drug-fueled sexual activity that he called freak-offs and threatening them into silence. At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes, as his lawyers argue the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way. Jury selection begins Monday. David, prospective jurors have already started answering written questions. If Combs is convicted, he faces what could amount to a life sentence.
David, Aaron Katersky was following this case for us. Aaron, thank you.
But the thing is, Diddy's legal team believes there's no solid evidence to back up these charges. They argue that the case against him is built on flimsy claims that can't be proven in court. Rejecting the plea deal was a bold move, one that guarantees a public trial. Diddy is putting everything on the line, and it's clear that he's prepared to fight for his name and his freedom. But why would he risk so much?
On the line. Now,
Brian Steele is new to the case, right?
Yes, Brian Steele is new to the case. We reported when he came on and when it was actually like real, like, okay, he's working the case now. Now, I spoke to a source close to the case, trying to figure out more of what the plea deal was, because most people, nobody knows what it is as of now. So I got a bit more details. What I was told is that the plea deal included Diddy having to plead guilty to a lot of things that he absolutely did not do. Now, he's saying he didn't do any of this, right? He's been saying, I'm not guilty of any of this whatsoever. But there are certain things and certain allegations that are so absurd that Diddy's team feels like they don't even have evidence to even bring this into conversation. So he's not even going to plead guilty and give them any leeway to throw things on him or to build a case with those things. Now, I want to point to the fact that, you know, when Jay-Z came out, the woman from 2000, the VMA Awards that said that Diddy and Jay-Z allegedly raped her, that was dismissed once Jay-Z fought it, and that was one of the claims. I want to also point out the Little Rod $30 million lawsuit.
Some legal experts argue that Diddy's decision to go to trial could be a strategic one that says, I won't admit to something I didn't do. The charges against Diddy are some of the most serious in recent history. Sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy. It's a long list of accusations that paint a dark picture of the music mogul's dealings. Prosecutors claim Diddy used his fame and fortune to prey on vulnerable women and men, coercing them into acts of sexual exploitation.
Alrighty, y'all. So Thursday, yesterday, the 1st of May, Diddy was in court, and he walked into court. He was there with his attorneys, Attorney Garrett Gross and Brian Steele, who was Young Thug's attorney in his trial. And he confirmed that he rejected the plea deal that we've been talking about in here. So he's in court, and the judge asked him, did you reject the plea deal? Diddy says, yes, I did. The judge is like, are you aware of the fact that you could potentially serve more time in prison because of the plea deal rejection if you were convicted? And Diddy told the judge that he did understand the stakes of what was on.
But Diddy has always denied these accusations. He's repeatedly said he's innocent. Yet the trial will now attempt to determine if these claims are factual or just another set of false allegations. Behind Diddy stands a team of powerful legal minds. Most recently, attorney Brian Steele joined the defense. Steele has a reputation for handling high-profile cases, including Young Thug's recent legal battles. But even with a fresh set of eyes, the task ahead of them is monumental.
They decided not to move forward with that as well, too, because of the claims.
But those are all civil. That's not into the criminal stuff.
Yes, but I pointed to those because those claims, even civilly, just show how outrageous, according to my source, and according to what I believe Diddy's legal team is looking at, the claims can get when it comes to Puff in this situation, because people have begun to pile on. So what I'm being told is the same thing is happening on the criminal side. And on top of it happening on the criminal side, there's no evidence allegedly to back up the piling on of these different things. So Puff is saying he wants to go to court, he wants to fight it.
Listen, I don't know what's true and what's not true, but Diddy also told us the Cassie stuff wasn't true.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, but then that turned out to be, a complete lie. So I have no idea, because like to your point, the Diddy situation has been so muddied because of a lot of these civil cases and a lot of these things that are flooding the internet. That's not what he's on trial for.
With a legal team that's now refocused and ready for battle, Diddy is hoping to turn the tide in his favor. His defense strategy? Argue that the evidence simply isn't there. While the legal teams prepare for battle, the public's reaction is mixed. Some believe in Diddy's innocence, while others are convinced he's guilty of the crimes he's accused of. The internet has been flooded with opinions, memes, and strong opinions on both sides.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. He has to fight it.
Yeah.
I can't see him not even taking it a plea. He has to fight it.
Well, I will say too, even with the plea isn't because they feel like the prosecutors don't feel like they don't have a strong case. You do that just, by operation, because if you don't do it, Diddy could come back after he's convicted, if he's convicted, and say, yo, they didn't have my best interest in mind, so I need to appeal this, because if they had my best interest, they wouldn't want me to just sit in jail. They would have helped me catch a break through a plea deal.
Maybe. Yeah, because I think they would really, if they have everything that they say they have, they would really try to lock Diddy up for a long time and embarrass the ish out of Diddy.
They are.
They're trying to.
But I don't think they would offer them a plea, in my opinion.
So, no, I will say normally and most typically in a court case, especially this high stake, that's what you do. It's literally like a protection. It's like, let me get this out the way and offer it. We know he probably won't take it, but let's just do it so that we can check this box real quick.
Some fans stand by Diddy, stating that the charges are simply part of a larger conspiracy. Others say it's time for Diddy to face the consequences of his alleged actions. Diddy is more than just a rapper. He's a mogul, a businessman who's built an empire across music, fashion, and entertainment. His brand is a global powerhouse, but all of that could come crashing down if he's convicted.
And listen, I don't know anything about the law. I am not a lawyer. And I know Brian Steele just came on the case, but the lawyers that he was with this whole time that couldn't even get him a bond, are they still around as well? Or he got rid of them?
Some of them are. Some of them are.
I wouldn't trust the same lawyers who can't even get me a bond to, win a trial for me. But I also don't know how much influence the lawyer has on whether or not their client gets a bond.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think, though, because he has so many different counsel and then he has Brian Steele that just came on as new, the team seems like they'll be a little bit more refreshed because it's different conversations, different leaderships, or leadership in the situation now. Now, people,
and what is the plea deal? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
I want to know what he turned down.
I don't know exactly what he turned down yet. I just know what it was leaning toward, and from what I'm told, that was Puff's legal's team. Like, that was the biggest thing for him, is like, there's so much in here that is not true and they can't prove it because there's no evidence because it never happened. We are not going.
From his involvement with Bad Boy Records to his luxury vodka brand, Diddy has always been at the forefront of the culture. But the questions now are, how much of this will survive the scandal? And will his empire crumble in the face of these allegations? The trial begins in just a few days, and the media frenzy surrounding Diddy's legal battle is only intensifying. The courtroom drama will be intense, with a jury tasked with determining Diddy's fate.
Yeah, forget all that, but what was the time? Because I read somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, somebody said 5 years?
I didn't see plea deal for 5 years, but I can look it up.
I don't know if that's true. I just saw that somewhere.
Nah, I didn't see
all the outlets I've seen, they don't know what it was because of it's supposed to not be getting out into the media or whatever. But the case starts, he actually goes to court, and that begins on May 12th. They also address jury selection in court that day. And people, that were there are commenting on how he looked. They said he looked happy. It's been released that he's able to actually wear like clothes when trial starts. He doesn't have to come suited and booted in his jail stuff, but it's only like 5 different like outfits, like certain shirts, certain ties, 5 button-down shirts, 5 pairs of pants, 5 sweaters, 5 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of shoes without laces is what he's allowed to wear to court.
And it won't just be a legal showdown. The world will be watching closely. Will Diddy's legal team be able to dismantle the charges, or will the prosecution expose the mogul's dark secrets? At the heart of this trial is Diddy's legacy. His music, his brands, and his personal reputation are all on the line. If he's convicted, the damage to his career could be irreversible.
So he gotta wear loafers.
Yeah, shoes without laces. Yep, yeah.
I mean, he has no reason not to be happy, you know what I'm saying, other than the fact that he's locked up. Because if the rumors are true, he's having a ball.
Yo, shut up, man. Literally, but stop it, man. Stop it, man.
What? Okay, well, in other news, the Tony Award announcements have come out, and people right now are pretty upset. They feel like Othello was snubbed for a Tony Award, and for a 2025 Tony Award nomination. Now, Candy Burrs, who co-produced with her husband Todd Tucker, she got on Instagram and telling Instagram that, you know, she felt the same way. She said she was disappointed, even though she's beyond proud. Every time she watched the cast, she said she's blown away and inspired. Now, this, directed by Kenny Leon, is a revival of the William Shakespeare tragedy, which stars Denzel Washington. And the production on Broadway has made it's made records. It has made $2.8 million in 1 week of previews, which is the highest weekly gross for a Broadway play.
One thing that makes Diddy's case unique is the celebrity factor. High-profile trials are often more than just about the facts. They become media spectacles, where the public's perception can be just as important as the legal verdict.
So people feel like, you know, because of all of that and just how good it is, they should have been nominated for a Tony Award, and it did not happen.
And Diddy knows this all too well. As a public figure, he's no stranger to the spotlight. But this trial will test how much of his celebrity status can influence the outcome.
Have anybody, y'all seen, well, you...
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. When this story came out, I was like, dang, I wish I had seen it, because I could tell you how good it was. But I've heard that it's very, very good.
If convicted, Diddy could face life in prison. But if he wins, it would be a massive victory, one that could clear his name and protect his empire. The coming days are crucial. The jury will determine whether Diddy is a free man or if he'll be locked away for decades. With everything at stake, it's a battle that will be remembered for years to come.
Okay.
But that's it, y'all.
All right, well, that is the latest with Lauren. Now, when we come back, we got a major announcement, something that I'm doing big. It's back. We'll get to it next, so don't go anywhere. Then we have front page news. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
If convicted, Diddy could face life in prison. But if he wins, it would be a massive victory, one that could clear his name and protect his empire. The coming days are crucial. The jury will determine whether Diddy is a free man or if he'll be locked away for decades. With everything at stake, it's a battle that will be remembered for years to come.
This is the Fox 5 News Block.
Breaking news this afternoon, a shakeup in the...
Well, Antoine, this was the final pre-trial conference before the actual trial gets underway, officially beginning with the jury selection on Monday, this coming Monday. Now, Diddy was in court today. He was wearing the tan MDC inmate uniform, even though the judge gave him permission for when the trial starts to wear regular, what they're calling business casual, a button-down shirt, pants. He's allowed to have 5 button-down shirts, 5 pairs of pants, 5 pairs of socks, and 2 pairs of shoes, but without any shoelaces. Now, today what happened is the judge officially confirmed to him through the prosecutors and his defense team that he was offered a plea deal. The details were not specified in court, but he was offered a plea deal to make this whole case go away. But Diddy stood up through the entire reading and this entire process of back and forth with the judge and the prosecutors and the defense team and said that he understood what he was doing. He did not want the plea deal and that he was officially rejecting it. So that was one thing in terms of the plea deal. That was very important. And then the other thing was a lot of talk, Antoine, as you mentioned, about the jury selection. Now, all this week, there has been pre-selection of jurors. And I've learned exclusively from sources close to the process that there were 700 jurors that walked through those doors that you see right behind me, filling out these questionnaires, very detailed questionnaires of anywhere up to 70 questions about their fitness to serve on that jury. Now, they will, a select number of them who are accepted by both the prosecution and the defense will show up on Monday morning to be interviewed one-on-one privately by both the prosecutors and the defense. And Diddy's defense team asked, can he please be there for that? And the judge said, yes, he can be there for that as well. So they're expecting that to take most of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Antoine. But his demeanor in court, I think, seeing that things were going on, he seemed to be more upbeat than some of the previous times that we've seen him here. His hair is salt and pepper now, which may surprise a lot of people who are used to seeing it just being solid black. And also, too, I saw him for the first time since I've been there in court actually pull out reading glasses to look at documents that were handed to him by his defense attorneys.
Lisa, we know that you...
Excuse me, we're blowing, all the pollen is blowing around here. Sorry.
No, Lisa, I'll make this one quick. The second question, was any family members there supporting him?
No, they weren't. They're still expected to show up when the actual trial, the opening statements get underway on May 12th. But there was one of his supporters, a music producer from Harlem called Charlucci Finney. We caught up with him as he was coming out of court. He was wearing a Free Puff sweatshirt, but when he was inside the courtroom, he had it covered up. But when he got outside, I spoke with him, like, why was he there? Because it's very rare to see anybody other than family there on Diddy's side supporting him, and here's what he had to say.